Let's go. Game time. The standard is the standard. That's our motto. That's our creed.
Welcome to the Better Baby Daddy podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, John Laxman.
I am your other co-host, Kelly Burgess.
And today, B, we're going to dive into emotional control, emotional regulation, and how that impacts the environment of our homes and how it directly impacts our children. Mm-hmm. So today's episode is called Your Kids Are Learning Love by Watching You Lose Control.
Mm. That's it. We're always teaching, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Whether we know it, whether we want to, we are teaching.
Yes, we are.
Through our presence, through our lack of presence, through our emotional regulation, through our lack of emotional regulation, we are teaching.
Yes, we are. Always on the job.
Yeah.
So one thing that struck out when I was looking over the notes is just the importance of understanding we're always on the stage with our kids. Mm. And when I was growing up in a household where, man, the verbal words from one of the parents were really, really heavy hitting. Mm-hmm. And so as I grew as a dad, I said, man, help me be the kind of cat that can be angry, but is not damaging with the anger. Mm. And I had to learn it because I'd seen some patterns that were the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. So our first point, I love just talking about just the importance of demonstrating things with words and actions. Mm-hmm. that we want done.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to talk about emotional modeling versus verbal correction and what that looks like. And that in itself can go in two drastically different directions, right? I can emotionally model appropriate behavior and appropriate verbal correction, or I can emotionally model disrespectful, emotionally uncontrollable reactions, and very poor and very disrespectful verbal correction.
Yes. Yeah, we can go both ways quickly.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we're in that moment as parents, and we've all been there, right? Where particularly if it's something that is a recurring thing with your kids. I've taught you this. I know I've shown you this. I've corrected this a couple of times, and here we are again. And as a dad, I don't know about you, man, but sometimes when it's so blatant, it's like, what are we doing? Like, again? And then I check myself because, God's been patient with me about a lot of stuff. But it is easy to get to that point where your voice and that volume turns up. And that face for me, my kids say, Dad, when you start ruffling that, when they see these little ridges right here, they know.
Like you played football for 30 years and you got the helmet.
Got that helmet. That helmet did. But, we all have tells as dads where our kids are feeling like, Dad's right on the edge. And so it's important for us to have some techniques to manage verbally what we're going to do and the physical presence that we're going to emit.
Absolutely. I can think of specific examples with my daughters. And let me preface this that I'm very fortunate that my daughters are well behaved. Mm-hmm. And I give credit to their mothers. Yeah. I give credit to the support system around me. And I'll take some credit as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
But,
absolutely.
So there's not a lot of these moments where I just have the opportunity to explode in general.
Right.
Because the worst thing that happens, like my oldest, man, I've never raised my voice to her.
Yeah, typical firstborn. They lock in. They're like, what are the rules? I'm a rule follower.
That's it. She might catch me. Damn, we said we weren't going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Got a little legal pad, little notes.
My youngest, she's a typical second born. But still, there's not these opportunities where I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, she doesn't really do crazy things. Right. But there have been moments where, I can choose the path of modeling correctly my emotional quote unquote outburst or regulation skills, or I can model in a different direction. And of course, as a man and as a human being, there are going to be times when I'm not perfect.
Sure.
I can remember a time when I was training a personal training client, right? And there's a big, gigantic patio area, cement ground. And I give her my cell phone just to keep her busy during that because she's like 3 years old. Right? So she's like, like everywhere. So I just sit down here, take the cell phone, put on
Louis
Racey's Corner or whatever you jam into for this moment. And I'm training my client and I look over And as I look over, she's like,
Mm.
no case on the cell phone. It
Mm.
hits the ground,
Mm.
crack.
Mm.
And I'm like, so, in that moment, I'm like, and that little breath beat allowed me to reset, refocus, and think clearly.
Mm.
John, you gave a 3-year-old
Okay.
an unprotected cell phone
Hey.
on top of a concrete floor.
Okay.
What was going to happen?
Yeah.
So in that moment, I was fortunate enough to have the wherewithal to say, okay, let's take a step back.
Right.
That's on me. And then I can give her some verbal correction,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, next time
Mm-hmm.
we hold the cell phone over our laps. Next time we
Right.
sit all the way back in the chair. Next
Right.
time we sit on the ground,
Right.
whatever it may be.
Right.
But that was on me.
Yeah. And then she says, next time, just bring some books.
next time, put a case on your phone.
Exactly. That's the firstborn telling you.
But the thing that we do right there in those moments is so crucial, because whatever your example is, whether it's spilling juice on the rug
Mhm.
and you're like, dang, and you're blowing up, you're yelling at them for spilling
Mhm.
juice on the rug and all this thing, they're learning that model
Yeah.
of reaction
Yeah.
in that moment.
Yeah.
So ideally what we want to do is we want to model appropriate reactions to stressful situations and then give verbal correction based on that.
Yeah. So what do you tell the dudes in the audience that may have come from a background where it was just normal to get cursed out as a kid, where emotional outbursts were like, that was just like, that's just how the household rolled.
Yeah,
You did something wrong, particularly if you were a dude raised in a single parent household
uh-huh.
and it was already on 10,
Yeah.
right? And you messed something up or you dropped the ball on something or you just doing dude stuff.
Mhm.
And mom or whoever you stayed with, dad was just at their wits' end because there's so many other pressures. And you was just getting cursed out.
Mhm.
I wish I never had you.
Mhm.
You a stupid MF.
Mhm.
You dumb just like your daddy.
Mhm.
Them body blows, them verbal body blows.
Mhm.
And then some, right? Might be some physical body blows in there. So how do you help a dude reset or have a couple techniques in his toolbox when he hasn't seen a model?
Number one, get your hard hat, get your boots, get your shovel, and it's time to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You got to go dive internally.
Yeah.
So that internal work is going to set the stage for that external expression of
Right.
emotion.
Right.
So find what we always talk about.
Mm.
Find guidance through spirituality, through a trusted, loyal, authentic group of friends. Get professional help if necessary. You got to work through that stuff.
You do.
Or you're going to pass that stuff on.
Yes, you are.
There is no other way around that,
Yeah.
B.
Yeah.
So you got to go to work on yourself.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes work to undo those bad patterns
Mm-hmm.
and to get 2 or 3 things that you know are going to work for you that you can do consistently.
Mhm.
I love what you said about, hey, this trigger happens and you physically take that deep breath and from, working out and just how the body works, that breath settles your heart rate down and helps your brain think.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest thing we need in that moment. So come up with a couple things, do that internal work, but be the kind of man that, when you got to deliver the verbal correction, we do, or you got to, physically present, hey, this is what it looks like to be disappointed, but measured.
Mm-hmm.
Disappointed, but hey, I can still give direct, instruction and correction. Well, find those things, put them to work.
Yeah. I think there's a balance
Mhm.
when it comes to parenting, when mistakes occur around us or when the environment is chaotic around us because of situations that are happening. You want to be able to model correctly. Are you going to be perfect with that?
No.
Absolutely not. You
Mhm.
want to be able to correct respectfully, but with authority. Are you going to be perfect with that? Absolutely not. Accept the fact that, I messed up here. I yelled. I shouldn't have done what I did right there. Reflect, reset, and go back at it.
Yeah.
But ideally, in those moments, you're like, how do I want my child to respond to future situations where stress or chaos are occurring around them?
Right.
And if you can say, well, I don't want them screaming and yelling and going crazy,
No.
then you can't be screaming and yelling and going crazy either.
Nope. That's it.
That's about it, man.
And we think, down the road, what models do we want them to have when they're parents?
Mm-hmm.
And you might be talking to a 6-year-old, but you are definitely putting into their, not to overuse that example, their toolbox, what they're going to use when they get 25, 30 years down the road in their parenting.
Mm-hmm.
You're normalizing the behavior, and you want to make it simple for them to apply good things later. Hard to think about that in the moment, but really, if you can frame it in that too, in addition to I'm trying to correct my child, I'm trying to equip a future adult with how to correct children, how to parent.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a good segue into the second point, is that what we model sets the bar for what's normal. And I know in the moment, I am not thinking about that all the time.
No.
But you made a great point of when we do make mistakes, and we go back to, well, what's the standard I want to set? We verbally say to our kids, man, yeah, I was upset about that. We talked about that, but the way I handled it wasn't the best. I should have done this. Next time, Dad will do this. Still don't bring no juice in the living room, bro. But, Dad ain't going to be throwing a cup all over the place because you spilled.
Right. In those moments, you have a choice, but a lot of times we can't get to that choice because we're instantly reacting.
Yeah.
And that's when let me step back for a second. Let me take a breath. All right, I'm cool. Or I'm cool enough to where I can respond respectfully and appropriately with authority, with masculinity, still set that standard, still reinforce that standard, but in a respectful way. Right. And my child can respond to and be like, yeah, my bad, Dad. I did mess up.
Right.
I'm going to take accountability for that because of the way you approached it. Because otherwise you get into a power struggle with a 6-year-old or with a 13-year-old, with an 18-year-old.
Right.
You're getting into a Listen, one thing I'm very, very straightforward with.
Right.
There's no power struggle between me and you.
Yeah.
I'm the power source.
Yeah. I'm the source, right.
So we're not going back and forth.
Yeah.
But the way that I eliminate the possibility of that power struggle is by modeling correctly and creating an environment where that standard is always there and understand.
Right.
So I've set the standard through my actions, through what I do. I verbalize that standard as well.
Right.
Now the environment coalesces around those standards and around my modeling behavior.
Yeah, it is. And at the end of the day, we're creating an environment as dads. We're the ones, and if you're doing the work we've been talking about over the last 30, 40 episodes, you've done that internal work and you visualize, well, what kind of environment do I want to create for my child? What kind of environment do I want to create as a dad? We know there's already been trauma and all kinds of other stuff going on because mom and dad are split up. So moving forward, hey, what's it going to feel like being around me? And what's it going to feel like being in this house? And the rubber meets the road when there is a tense moment and you got to do some correction. You got to steer a child in a way they don't want to go. But I like what you said, man. We're not going to get this big verbal back and forth because I've already in the calm moments established, hey, this is our standard behavior in the house. Hey, you a line stepper today, son. So let's clarify what the line is and let's step back over the other way. But the more you can do that when it's calm, the better environment you set for them.
Absolutely. I like to think about it in terms of, personally for myself, that I'm a mix of 90s parenting style and that 2010 plus 2010 plus parenting style.
What's the difference between the two?
The 90s parenting style, if I need to go to the belt, I don't hit my kids.
Oh, that was 50s and 60s too, bro. Yeah. I was raised in the 60s, and it was some belt application. So I'm just saying.
But I'm going to let you know.
Right.
And then I'm also going to come back to you and be like, all right, so what can we do better?
Yeah.
I don't believe in that. Oh, okay, that was spilled.
The gentle parenting.
In moments, I believe that it's appropriate.
Yeah.
When we're dealing with your emotions towards a certain situation, I believe that I should allow you to experience those things.
Yeah.
Not push them to the side.
Sure.
So I'm gentle in that sense.
Yeah.
But there are moments as parents when we got to be like, bam, here's the line.
Right.
You crossed that line.
Yeah.
Consequences.
Yeah. And it is. It's an art. And like I said, we probably like 25, 30 years, 20 years between the parenting that was applied to us. Because my mom and dad's parenting was applied. Hands on. And I'm not advocate for like corporal punishment being the go-to all the way. I mean, I do think there's some times where, hey, pain is a good teacher. And I mean,
Emotional pain, physical pain.
emotional pain and physical pain is a good teacher, but there's a way to do it in a way that doesn't destroy your child emotionally.
Yeah.
That you can restore them. But you're right. You have to say, hey, here it is.
Yeah.
In the Lashman household, in the Burgess household, dude, you know that these things, man, we crossed the line here, so dad's gonna have to correct you.
As men,
Mhm.
we have to be even more conscientious because of our presence.
Yes.
Especially if you I don't hate to use this term, but I'm going to use this term. If you're a man,
Yeah.
like, and you work out,
Yeah.
you're above average height.
Sure.
Even if you're not,
Yeah.
your tone, your voice, your
Yes.
presence
Yeah.
in itself
Yeah.
can be
It
intimidating.
can. Yeah. Particularly with the little ones, 5 and under.
Yeah.
I mean, just the physical, you're huge to them.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably are not generally bringing the same kind of nurturing vibes that mom is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you're not nurturing, you're just nurturing in a different way.
Yeah.
You might
Roughhousing.
do more roughhousing and
Yeah.
head rubs and, jocular stuff. So when you come in and it is a correction time,
Mm-hmm.
you're already by default bringing some heat with you.
Mhm.
Mom has to, you're ratchet up the volume or, that type of thing, but you're bringing that sense of authority just by default.
Mhm.
And so when we add extra volume and God forbid you're angry and you're adding physical to it, you can really set your kid back if you're not skilled in those areas. And so that's what you're just saying to do is understand just by your physical presence, just by 6'2", 6'3", deeper voice, you're bringing weight already.
Mhm.
So make sure you know how to temper it when you have to, apply it in a disciplined way.
Right. I know one of the things that my 6-year-old will respond to if she's doing something.
Mhm.
All I gotta do is be like, and you
The look.
she's like, oh, okay,
That.
yep.
But that's a beautiful thing. I don't have to say anything to you.
Uh-huh.
Just that change in my countenance is like,
What we doing here?
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
And same thing with mine. You're out in public someplace, we see something out of pocket with some other family,
Yeah.
and we just look. All I do is just, and they like, we don't do that, do we, Dad? No, we do not.
And the ladies got that look too a lot of times, but it's different.
Ladies are like,
Yeah, that's it right there.
clenched teeth, lips moving, no words coming out, but you interpreting all that. You see those things that get off pocket?
I'm thinking of my mom doing it to me when I'm little. Now I'm like, damn, I'm about to get. When I get old,
Oh, that's the worst.
I don't even want to know.
When the whooping is marinating, you got the mom still got to shop it. You still go to the food court, but you get ready to get that thing is just sitting in the stew. And you getting it. You ride home hoping that she forgot she didn't forgive me.
And she being all nice too.
All nice. And she gonna unleash the cracking on you when you get home. It's not just oh man, I'm having flashbacks now. Woo-wee. But all that's to say is that there is an authority that parents have been given, and wise parents and dads, those of us who aren't in the house all the time, you're in the split visitation, you have to be really measured and intentional about when you display it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything can't be nuclear, otherwise your kids won't respect the nuclear
Yeah.
option, right? So if you have to go there with them, then man, make sure it shouldn't be every time something happens, Dad is just kirking.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times where it's like, look, like we saying, in our fields, like you got to shoot a hostage. Like you got to let them know, like, don't, we're not doing that again. So, and then other times we can be a negotiator.
Right. I love what you said there. And it's so important. And it's one of the things that I use in the field that we work in is everything can't be nuclear.
No.
We can't drop the bomb on Hiroshima once a year.
No.
We can't do that.
No. It's not.
That is so powerful. So if you're always going to 10, no matter what the situation is, they don't respect 10.
Then nothing's 10, right? Then everything is 1.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay.
All right.
Then one more.
Yeah.
But it's, hey fellas, we know y'all are out there, you're doing your best.
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing is, set a standard, understand what you come with as a man. And then when you make mistakes, walk it back.
Mm-hmm.
But don't ever walk back the standard. You might walk back the application of the discipline, but don't walk back the standard. Because standard is a standard, like your As Coach Tomlin likes to say. It's a standard.
Standard's
Right?
a standard. That's
That's
it.
it.
In relation to all of that, we have to also be aware of the fact that many times we are passing down our stress response unconsciously to our children. So whether our stress response is correlated to financial things, the things that are going on personally in our lives, relationship-wise, the split up with the BM, an argument I just had with the BM, my response to that is unconsciously being passed down to my children. And here's the big thing, B, whether they are right there with me while that is occurring or they're not with me.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, but they ain't there. How are they going to know? Because you're going to carry that with you.
Yes, you are.
And the next time you interact with them, the next time you see with them, you're tense because of what happened 2 days ago because you didn't deal with it.
Yeah.
And now when they spill the juice,
Yeah.
it all comes out.
Yeah. They're getting the juice correction and I can't stand your mama correction too. Like it's all in there. And that's what we're saying, fellas. That work that you referenced a couple points back is so important. So you can just be the dad correcting the juice dad instead of I'm filtering all this frustration. I'm filtering child support and missed times because vacation wasn't clarified. I couldn't go to the birthday because the new boyfriend is there. You transferring all of that down because they spilled some, juicy juice on the new carpet, and they internalize that. They just know, man, it's tense when I'm around dad, and I can't even put words to it.
And that intensity, right? That stress is not safety. And we've talked about that before.
Yeah,
so now they're at a heightened state when they're around you all the time.
Yep.
Because they're at a heightened state, they're always in that flight response.
Yeah. And they love you, but it's like it's
fight
like,
or flight response. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I get you. They love you, but it's like, I'm kind of scared to be around you. Like, I want to be around you, but it's like, man, I'm on edge when I'm around you.
So when they don't want to come for a weekend when they're 14, all of a sudden you're like, well, why ain't they coming?
Yeah.
Because you spent 10 years putting them in a situation where they felt unsafe.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know you were doing it.
Yeah.
But they felt it.
Yeah.
And eventually the compounding of that put them like, nah, I ain't going this weekend.
No.
I don't want to feel unsafe.
Yeah. Yeah. And so all that's to say is that as you're doing this work, understand that whatever you don't, we said this a couple of times, episodes ago about money, whatever you don't fix ends up coming down on them. And so all this work, do it with the understanding that I'm consciously trying to pass down positive things. I'm constantly trying to model positive ways to handle stress and work on reconciliation and all those kind of things. Man. And then when you see these things perk up in your kids, right? So say you're doing that work and you got to a point where you're a little better at it, but you see, hey, my kid's avoidant, or I just had a normal tone in my voice and they were really, breaking down. Get them some counseling. Put them in a situation where they can begin to unpack that at 5 or 6 years old instead of having to wait till 35 years old with a busted up relationship. So, there may be some things you have to do, to kind of speed that process up for them.
Agreed. And also take the time, if you're capable, and you have to really reflect on it, if you're capable to say, okay, they broke down right there. Therapy is a great thing for them, but can I have a conversation with them in that moment as well? Or can I give them a space, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever's necessary. And now can we come back to that? Hey, I just corrected you for the juice and you completely broke down.
Yeah. Tell me something about that.
What's going on there?
Yeah.
Can we talk?
So powerful, man. So powerful. You made a good point. Like you're your kid's first counselor, really. And, you might have all the degrees and all the different, techniques, but really you are the one that create this space where that filter can come down and they can say, Dad, it was really sad. It makes me really sad when I spill the juice because I make that mistake at mommy's house too. And she yells at me too about it. And it's like, oh, okay. So okay, I know it's a thing.
Yeah.
Had a really interesting conversation. Just remind me about, we talk about difference in age in our children. And I went out to dinner recently with one of my sons and I was asking him, we had a lot of stuff we were talking about, but I asked him, I said, what do you remember about the divorce? And he said, Dad, and he was 3. Let's see here, 7, 5, 3. Yeah. So he was 3 when his mom and I split. And he said, I don't really remember anybody telling me that you were leaving. I just remember hearing this word, and then I didn't know what it was, and you weren't gone. And then he said later, you know, they have a childhood friend they grew up with, and that kid's parents stayed together. And he was always been a great friend to my kids. And he was always telling my kids, hey man, you guys are gonna make it through it, you know, you'll be okay, it's gonna be all right. And then my son, I was having dinner with, like, I'm looking at this guy, I was like, how do you know? Like, your parents are together.
Mm-hmm.
And then he told another story recently. He was at a family event, and there was a slideshow of me with my second family, you know, looking all happy, cheesing. It was a picture of me, second wife, couple kids. And he said, I broke down at this event because I had never had that moment. And it just occurred to me, I'd never had that kind of moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, and so I'm hearing this for the first time at 60. He's expressing it to me first time in his late 20s. And it's like, that stuff rolls down. The stuff you do rolls down, and you just don't know when it's going to come up, and you have to, and you want to be able to respectfully address it. Hey, man, this thing happened and you broke down. Like, it just reminded me of that. Like, you're going to be covered in stuff like that for a minute. So do the correction, but understand you're dealing with a real human being who has been sitting on a different seat in the bus as you, going through this life event, this breakup.
And you were at the left-hand window and they were at the right-hand window, so you saw different things. It was the same street, but it was completely different.
Completely different.
Yeah.
So, so that when you say that point about being able to help your child in that moment regulate and be with them where they were, just remind me of a recent conversation with one of my boys.
One of the things, well, first off, B, thanks for sharing that. That just made me really think about, you know, the things that I'm doing in this moment and the downhill effect when I'm 60, when I'm 70, and my children are like, hey, Dad, this moment right here. And I didn't even know that moment was a blimp on the radar.
It was a moment. Yes.
Yeah. So, wow. But one of the things that I really focus on with my children when I want to have those conversations is I set the stage for those conversations. So with my oldest, and I started this, we probably started this when she was about 6 years old, so about 4 years. Hey, I want you to, and maybe this is that 2010, 2020 type parenting.
Okay, I was going to get back to that. I was going to see what the techniques you were talking about.
One of the things I do is, hey, I want to have an open conversation. No matter what you say, stays between us. No one's ever going to get in trouble during this conversation unless it's something really egregious. Right? So I set this stage. So basically saying, hey, this is a safe space where you can express yourself. Whatever you say to me, even if it's something that you feel like I did wrong, I'm not going to get upset in this moment. I'm going to take it in and see how I can be better. And then we'll have a conversation about that. So that has allowed her to open up with certain things with me. I mean, she's in 5th grade. So I'm like, hey, we're about to have one of them conversations. Now that I've set the stage, all I have to say now is, hey, we're about to have one of those conversations. So on our hour drive home from down south up here, you know, I'll be like, hey, what you think about boys? Now we're there where she can be like, well, you know, Dad, I don't really care, like kind of not, like, because she's in 5th grade. So she's at that moment where it's teetering towards the other side.
It is.
But now we're able to have those conversations.
Very good, man.
So set the stage.
Very good.
That's important. Frame that conversation, like, and create, I know it sounds so soft, but create that safe space for them to communicate and express themselves.
Yeah, it's not soft, man. I mean, it's one of the most masculine things you can do. You have been, you've done the reflection, and you're conscious enough to know, I got to create this environment where this little girl can feel comfortable peeling back a layer that she's never peeled back before. And she might not want to disappoint me, or she doesn't know how I'm going to respond. And so that's like the most daddy thing you can do. Like, it's really cool to hear that, man. I wish I could, you know, roll the clock back and apply some of those things. But that is a high level move, dog. And hope some of you girl dads out there and boy dads are catching that, that you set the stage and the kid knows, hey, I can say what I need to say. That's off limits. Very powerful.
So important in that situation. If you say, hey, I'm not going to get upset, that you don't get upset. Like, if she says, hey, Dad, I don't like when you do this. And you're like, oh, yeah. Because you just destroyed All that work.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, you can forget about her opening up again for a minute.
Right.
But
that all connects back to what we're talking about in terms of emotional modeling,
mhm.
right? So this is how we handle difficult, stressful, chaotic situations.
Yeah.
We frame them. We make it safe for everyone to talk and communicate and to open up.
Yeah.
Because your feelings are valid with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And then we go ahead and we move through that standard process.
Yeah.
All right. You didn't like that. You didn't like the way I reacted.
Yeah.
All right. We set the stage where everything needs to be, where everyone's safe in this moment.
Right.
You may have not liked that,
Right.
but the standard for our family is this.
Yeah.
Now, could I have done a better job
Yeah.
of relaying that standard to you?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our next point, being our
Yes.
final point for the day, and that what kids absorb when accountability is missing. So if you're not being accountable, if you're not saying, look, that was a standard, but I just did not do a great job of relaying that standard, they're taking a whole different message from it.
Very much. I mean, minimum, they're thinking Dad's not a man of his word.
Mm-hmm.
Standards don't really matter. Standards aren't really standards. They're just kind of malleable, kind of, convenient things when it's easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
And subconsciously they're saying that attaining the standard is not worth the hard work of doing it. It's not worth the effort because you're not demonstrating that.
Mm-hmm.
And, your worst case scenario is when you're really out of pocket, they figure out, hey, I just do what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
with no consequence.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of negative things get passed down when there's no accountability for the adult in the relationship.
Yeah. So if you're blowing up and you're showing them the wrong way to correctly model emotional, quote unquote, outbursts,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or emotional language, I don't know what the term is right there, emotional displays of emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm not modeling that correctly and then I'm not coming back and verbally setting that standard, but I'm going in the other direction, this negative direction. And then after I do that, I'm just riding off into the sunset. There's no accountability for the mistakes I've made.
Yeah.
You're teaching them that these outbursts are the correct way to handle it,
Mm-hmm.
and then go blame someone else for my outburst.
Yep. And they're not worth coming back to and apologizing or correcting.
Mhm.
You demean the value of your children when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a type of dude, like a lot of us were exposed to households where that was the way that things rolled,
Mhm.
you, like you said earlier, have a lot of work to do to undo that program in your mind about this is how we handle stress situations when we're supposed to be loving one another in a nurturing but direct way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good place you want to be in with your kids.
Yeah.
They will withdraw from you
Yes.
and they will hide their worst mistakes from you because you can't be trusted emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you specifically think of a time, maybe not in your life, or just a specific example in general,
Mhm.
Where, you know what, I should have took accountability. I didn't take accountability. And then the downhill effect of that is my child
Mhm.
doesn't really take accountability here. And I'm like, nothing specific to you, but just in general, an example of that.
Yeah, I think to keep it really general, whatever your worst struggle is,
Yeah.
and I'd say this, our audience is dudes that had a relationship, the relationship imploded. Whatever your part of that was that you didn't take accountability for, I guarantee you it's going to show up in your children, particularly the same gender child.
Mm.
If you was out there hoeing, subconsciously, your boys are going to think that's how we medicate.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're going to think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be tough for you to come back unless you say, hey, fellas, literally, man, it's funny you said it because you were saying, I want to share this text I just sent with my boys because stuff comes across.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying to feed them stuff about marriage because I want to equip them before they're married to be good husbands. And I said, I sent something to them. There's a list of stuff you can do about, being a good husband. And I said, hey, this is the standard. I can't find it now. Oh, it's 10 ways to breathe life into a strong marriage.
Okay.
And I said, bookmark for later. It works in serious dating relationships too. And then I said something about, hey, this is the standard moving forward as Burgess men. Despite what you've seen in the males in your life, this is what we do. And so that was me saying, hey, once again, I'm taking accountability for the things that I've done, but hey, here's a new standard. Because those things are going to they're going to poke up. Whatever you struggle with and didn't own, it's going to come up in your kids.
Absolutely. I think specifically of, you're in a fight with your BM in front of your kids. And they're seeing y'all go back and forth and you're being really nasty. And after it's over, instead of taking accountability, you go in the opposite direction. See, that's what your mother does. She makes me act like this. So now you place some blame on it. Your child, if they see that enough, maybe it's only one time, but if they see it enough, now there's no accountability when they have these blow-ups in their relationships. So one of the things accountability allows us to do is it affords us the opportunity to reflect, reset, and restart. If I'm not accountable, if I can't own that, look, I shouldn't have did that. That was my bad. Now I can reflect on it because I owned it.
Right.
Now I can reset and now I can restart. Accountability is so crucial. It's that initial step in that reflection process.
It is.
And if you're not taking the accountability, your children aren't learning how to take accountability, or they're learning it way too late in life. Yeah. And they're making the same mistakes you're making. And they're blaming everybody else. They're blaming the system. They're blaming their BMs because they're going to have BMs. If you continue to do what you're doing. And you're not winning. And you're not winning with your kids. And that's the biggest loss you can have.
It is. It is really, really tough to see. And, I think, you put it so plainly that accountability allows you to be at a place where you can grow because you're seeing yourself accurately. Once you say, yeah, I blew that. I should have done this. I didn't do this. Whatever you got to do after that, I apologize. And this is what I'm going to do differently. Once you're at that stage, then it's like you've kind of climbed to a level where you can see, oh, okay, I can get to the next level as a man. If you don't do that, you think you're at that level. We talked about a couple of episodes ago. You think you're at that, but you really have taken several steps back and kind of set a base camp down here. And you're unable to get to these higher heights because you haven't done the work. So own it. Remember, you're always teaching your kids. You're healing yourself, doing better as a man, and you're teaching your children how to do it better than you. And it's like, man, Dad had to own that. All this, the just greasy stuff I did, I had to own that with my boys because I knew, and my girls, because I wanted to set the standard for them what to accept from a man. And then for the boys, it's like, look, none of y'all are married, but once you step into that arena and commit, dude, this is what it takes. And these are the things that can implode a relationship. Absolutely destroyed, and these are the things that it takes to sustain it. And I'm going to tell you till I'm blue in the face. And if you have, my boys know, if they have any direct questions about anything that went down, just kind of pops up. Well, Dad, how did you navigate that? Or, what did you do when you were? Some of them ask really direct questions. What did you do when you were stepping out with Mom? I was like,
it's tough to answer.
30 years later, I didn't know I was going to be. Okay, here we go. Right. But they want to know, and then they're asking it ready. And so you once again, it's not time to take accountability. You can't blame the mom.
No, you got to own it all right there in that moment.
You do.
So big, B. Man, I got to be like you when I get older.
No. Hey, you are much further along. I mean, the work you've done is it's crazy work. Yeah. So, like I tell my boys, learn my lessons, but don't take as long to learn as I took to learn.
Man, good stuff.
Absolutely.
All right. So, you got anything else to add, Doug?
I do not.
To the pod today?
I don't. I just, just encourage, a lot of times, particularly at the beginning of this new year, we've been at you guys in your chest, and we just want to let you know that, man, we appreciate the struggle. Yeah. We appreciate you locking in small ways, the comments you send and different things. But keep at the work and learn to be the kind of man who is creating this loving environment with standards and has a dad at the helm that's a skilled disciplinarian.
Skilled disciplinarian.
All those things, man, we appreciate you working in all those areas.
Absolutely. And if I could leave him with the quote, the way you lose control today is the way your children will love tomorrow.
That's what your boys will do, and it's what your girls will accept.
Yep. That's it.
That's it.
All right. Until next time.
Yep.
I'm John.
I'm Kelly.
Peace.